Hello, fellow citizens, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Elfie, just a girly pop trying to explore everywhere in the verse. And today, a couple friends and I decided to take a last-minute trip and go explore some of the moons of Microtech. So, let's get into it. I woke up in Pyro and had to get back into Stanton to go to Microtech and meet up with my friends. One of my friends was also in Pyro though, and so he offered to drive his Carrack through the wormhole. I find it super fascinating to see the different ships and how they travel through here. Some of them, especially the bigger ones, it's a lot harder to maneuver, but it's fun watching my friends figure out how to do it much better than I could possibly do it. I'm really excited for this trip, because like I said when we went to Ignis, I never really thought about exploring the moons when I started these exploring series for Stanton and Pyro. And up until this point, I haven't actually been to a moon in Stanton, so I was excited to see what it brings. Another thing I noticed while we were traveling through here was that during the center part, there's been a lot less pillars than there used to be, or at least I think so. So I think that this journey has changed quite a bit. This is my favorite part though, when the blue and the orange start to come together, and you start to really get a glimpse of how different these two star systems are. And just like that, after my favorite quick little trip, we made it back into Stanton, and we could head off to the first moon, Clio. Seeing how all of the moons aligned with the beautiful Microtech was absolutely a sick detail that I really appreciated. And what you're listening to right now is also the music directly from Star Citizen, which is always a nice touch when coming out of Quantum into the different places and how each soundtrack represents what you're about to see. What's nice about visiting the different moons around a planet are that they're actually really close, and these are probably the shortest jumps that you'll have to make in this game. We finally reached the dark side of the moon, and it was cool to catch a glimpse of where night meets day on this moon. And seeing the light side of the planet for the first time, it was really cool to see some kind of polar cap, but then also just these huge oceans. I was really excited to see what it would look like down below. It was super neat when jumping out to actually see that there was very low gravity on this moon. The running and jumping kind of made me feel like that experience when you're a little kid at a trampoline park for the first time. It was also super cool that we were able to park super close to the ocean and actually hear the ocean sounds the second that I got off of the ship. They probably need to work on the physics of jumping in the ocean a bit, but this was still pretty fun. Another thing I noticed here coming up from the water a bit was the insane windstorms. I actually couldn't move as quickly in certain directions, and so the physics of it was actually pretty legit. I would say my favorite thing about this was actually being able to go back and take long running jumps into the water from this little hill. We also saw this bigger rock pile next to us along the shore, and we wanted to climb to the top of it to get a nice group picture. However, the short side was pretty easy to get up to, but the bigger side would be a bigger challenge. The first idea we had was to jump on the smaller rock and then jump on the bigger landing pad and the bigger rock. This seemed like the reasonable play, but when you tried to jump up to the left, it didn't really work, and I kept launching myself forward, and thank God for low gravity. After a couple of tries of trying the same thing and expecting a different result, I decided that I had a different idea, and I decided to take a look at the rocks that weren't this other one to see what we had to work with. I didn't think that these ones over on the right were going to be tall enough, but I did notice a little path around the right side of the rock that might be better. Sometimes it's better to just take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And I finally made it to the top. What a great success that didn't involve missions, contracts, pew-pews, literally just jumping to the top of a rock and being able to see the majestic view of the oceans around me, and my friend who I now had to teach how to get up. And this is what we play Star Citizen for. It's a screenshot simulator. It was also a cool view of seeing our friend's ship flying in when he wanted to join us after seeing what we were up to. And it was also at this moment that I noticed that you could see another moon not too far away, and I knew I wanted to go check it out. But not before all of us had the chance to go jump into the water off of this rock. And we had one more pit stop to make. I wanted to check out the Snow Cap mountains before we left that I saw from space up above. And it was definitely worth the 10-minute flight over here. Even where somewhere is just going to be covered in snow, it's so nice to see the different textures and details between the craters and the Rocky Mountains. And I sat there for quite some time thinking that I was going to see a star set, but I was too impatient for this one. Especially with the moons, you never really know if they're actually going to set or if they're just going to fly sideways. But this was still pretty nice regardless. I noticed my friend was running to go check out a crater, and I wanted to go check it out too. And I don't really know what was going through my mind when I saw it from up above, but it was much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And it was also pretty deep looking. I was wondering if I would be able to make it back out if I jumped in, and we were also talking about the logistics of base building and how cool it would be to have a base in a little crater like this. I assumed with low gravity that I would be able to make it out no problem, so I took a leap and I jumped in. I also thought it was pretty cool how the sun was already set on half of this crater but still shining bright on the other half. And for the moment of truth, Star Citizen physics wins again. I didn't even need to jump and use the low gravity to actually get back up from the crater, which is good to know, just in case. But all the running around had me dying of thirst, so I headed back to the vehicle, and I noticed that my whole suit was covered in snow, which is another cool detail that I've noticed on the Snow Cap mountains in this game. I had a couple of Lux beverages, and we were off to our next location, Euterpe. It definitely had an interesting marble look to it from far away, and it was cool to fly into it right where the star was setting and rising. And just like Clio, we actually took the time to fly down to the planet rather than trying to go to a point. This makes the journey all more valuable getting to see all of the different textures from above and looking how they changed as you get much closer. And this frozen over lake pretty much just reminded me of Utah. If you've ever driven through the salt flats, it basically gives you a fear of open spaces and all you can see is just white and nothingness. It was also really cool to see the shadow of the ship, which is just another small detail that most people probably don't notice, but I do. And it's really cool to see that level of detail in such a very expanded game. And I thought the storms on Clio were pretty intense when the wind hit, but nothing compared to this. These winds actually prevented you from walking more than 1 mile an hour, and it was really intense, and you could feel that through the movement of your keyboard. But the way that the sun was hitting the moon was actually really pretty. For an area where there's absolutely nothing, I can still see the beauty here. And the other cool thing is being able to turn around and see the moon in the other direction of the star. We all got together to take a really cute group picture when my friend decided that he wanted to try to take his helmet off. It's funny, because the other 3 of us all pretty much had the same idea the second that he did it. It turns out that you actually can remove your helmet here, and you will survive, but it might be a little chilly. What a bunch of goobers. And then, all of a sudden, the wind hit like a brick, and I thought that it was going to be the smartest idea in the world to go with the wind, and then I had to make the walk of shame against the wind. It was getting pretty late though, and we all decided to call it there. It was a pretty good day in the verse, especially for an unprompted exploration adventure. There is one more moon on Microtech though, so we'll definitely have to come back and check it out. If you'd like to join the explorations, be sure to check out the Discord in the description down below. If you like Star Citizen videos like this where you get to see the verse through a fresh set of eyes, be sure to like and subscribe to support the channel. I post new videos twice a week, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, Elfie, out.